Hello there, friends. It is Andrew here from IDB with yet again even more tweaks for iOS 10, and starting off our list is MessageFilter. Have you ever been in that kind of weird situation where you definitely meant to send a text to one person and not the other? Well, you could be in a really awkward situation if it said something it wasn't supposed to say, like calling your boss baby or something. Well, MessageFilter makes it super easy. By tapping the I inside of a specific thread here, so if I'm looking for my boss or my friend or something, I can go ahead and add a blacklisted word. So maybe I want to add in Android or baby or something that I don't want to say to that person. And anytime you go to send that message, it'll automatically give you an alert asking if you really want to do that. Whitelist is kind of the opposite way. For instance, if I only want to call my girlfriend baby and nobody else, it'll alert me anytime I use that word with anyone other than my girlfriend or who I have it set for. So now if I try to type in Android here, which is definitely one of my blacklisted words, there I have an alert showing up saying, hey, do you really want to say that? You can send anyway or cancel. Really handy, really easy to use, and is available absolutely free inside of Cydia. Next, let's take a look at Falcon. This is a really cool tweak that works on the lock screen and inside of Notification Center, but the idea is that it gives you new kind of pages that you can swipe through. Obviously, on your default Notification Center or home screen, you have your widgets to the left, and on the home screen, your camera to the right. Well, with Falcon, you can add new pages in there that do things like this one, which is a toggle screen. Basically, everything you want to toggle. Respring your device, turning it off, rebooting, brightness, do not disturb, Wi-Fi, tethering, rotation lock, stuff that would kind of be found inside a control center, but even more all in one handy spot. But it's even more than just a bunch of toggles. There's also panes for things like notes. It's a really easy way just to go to the top here, enter a quick note, search through your notes. Really just meant to be more convenient than having to open up your phone, get to the notes app, and actually type something down. So I can type in here, go ahead and get some groceries, hit enter, just adds it to my list. Super easy, very minimalistic. And then of course we just go to the camera, but you can add more tabs. Those are just the two panels that I've added. But if we jump here into settings and we look at the options for Falcon other than enabling and disabling, you can actually add Touch ID for those toggles. So maybe you want someone to actually have a password or a Touch ID to get in there. That's absolutely something you can do. Then you can make the changes for the lock screen and for Notification Center. So I have my today, main, and camera. Then I want to add things like notes, search, and toggle. Search is really cool. It's basically just another browser. So if you have to search something quite frequently, swipe to the side on your home screen or lock screen, go ahead and perform your search, all without ever having to actually get into your device. So really handy, and of course you can make those changes in Notification Center as well. And of course you want to make sure that you put things like the camera last, because you can't really leave the camera very easily once you get to it. So you don't want to actually put something past the camera. But really simple tweak, available for $1.49 inside of Cydia. Moving on, we have AppCon, which is a really neat one if you're into customization or theming of your device. So some icons are kind of ugly, like the Yalu one here that we use for jailbreaking. But I can simply go into wiggle mode, tap on that icon, and I have all these options to replace that icon. I can restore to original after I've done something, but I can replace from the library, from URL, or from kind of a library of ones that I've used in the past. So I have the IDB logo pulled up here already. I'm going to choose that. I can actually crop that into the correct size that I want and go ahead and save that. And now my icon has been replaced with the IDB logo instead of the kind of ugly one that it was in the past. Definitely looks better now. Of course, you don't have to use one saved on your device. If you have one online, you can just copy that URL, paste that into here, and you can either paste it yourself or hit from clipboard. It'll automatically pull that in. I didn't really have anything on my clipboard at the moment, but that would have just shown up there. And then there is the option at the bottom to replace one with one from your library. So something you've used in the past. So if you had like a big image, they wanted to theme a bunch of them, or you just wanted to make them all the same, really easy to do that. So super quick, super easy, really neat tweak. May seem a little steep at $1.99, but if you're into that customization, it's perfect. Moving on, a really simple one, which is MakeRespringsGreatAgain. On iOS 10, your respring kind of looks like this, a little spinning wheel. Not really that exciting. So if you do miss the Apple logo, simply install this tweak, and instead of that little wheel, you'll have the Apple logo back just like it used to be. Now, the actual music interface for your iPhone really hasn't changed in too much time, especially on the lock screen, or maybe even in Control Center. Hasn't changed that much. It looks very boxy like it always has. As a refresher, this is what it looked like. So it's fine, it's whatever. But there's a new one, a new tweak out there called Spin, and this is for iOS 10, and it allows you to kind of mix up what it looks like on your lock screen. there's a bunch of different controls that you can change what the spinner is going to look like. Do you want to hide the play pause button on there? Do you want to customize the color? You can actually make, the text, the tracks, all different things. You can hide certain labels. I do want to see the artist label. I do want to see the track label. I do want to see the title label. All of those you can turn on and off, as well as hide them if you'd like to. You can change the position of them if you'd like to move them up or down on that Y axis. There's really cool extras. I particularly like the dynamic label colors, which takes your album artwork and tries to match the label and spinning colors to what is kind of coming from the album. So we're gonna go ahead and apply that, and now when I go ahead and play some music and go back to my lock screen, give it a second to load, but here we go on the Mighty Quinn. It has that kind of that light yellow pulled from that album color, so it looks a lot different. You got the controls there at the bottom, play, pause. You can run your finger around this ring with a little seeker to actually change your progress in the music. Changing albums, this did not change that much, but going over here to Gaelic Storm, it's a slightly different yellow, so really easy tweak, pretty neat. Only 99 cents. Now we have ReformX, which is another way to customize the look and feel of your phone, particularly stuff like the icons on your home screens. So it actually does install as an actual app itself and not inside of the settings menu. And there's just a ton of stuff here for you to change. Obviously, enabling, disabling it, changing stuff for the dock. How many columns do you want in dock? How big do you want those icons to be? How big do you want the labels to be? Do you want there to be labels? Lots of different stuff that you can change here. Same thing with pretty much every other part of your phone as far as the different screens go. So on folders, how many things do you want to fit in folders? How big do you want folders to be? How big do you want the apps to be in the folders? Okay, your home screen. How many columns do you want? How many rows do you want? That's something in particular that I really like being able to change, because I think I should be able to fit more icons on that screen. Even on the dock, do you want to kind of hide that background from the dock? I really like that one. There's things you can change on rotation, system-wide ones. There's even little themes. These are more just kind of more the tweak itself. But what's kind of cool is I can actually change these without having to respring my device. So I just leave the app itself, and here's my new home screen. Of course, I've got quite a few going across, 5 down, many more rows on here than there was in the past. So I can actually just go back into the app, and now if I disable it, instead of having all these kind of crazy small apps on here, disable, and everything goes back to how it was. So no springing necessary. I can really easily tweak those until I find something that I like the look and feel of for my device. Also, it's absolutely free. Speaking of really cool free apps, there's also FingerTouch. This is a really neat one, especially since the kind of Touch ID has been coming out on all these devices. It allows you to do different things by using that Touch ID ring. So before, you could double tap without actually pressing, just tapping, it would turn on reachability and pull down the screen of your phone. Well, now you can actually add a bunch of different things to that, including a vibration when you're doing it. So on the finger down, it'll give you a little bit vibration. And there's all these different things you can do with those controls. For instance, just touching it will take you to the home screen. There's also a bunch of other options that you can enable, so you don't actually have to use the ones that are there. There's a big list of them. Rebooting, reachability, taking a screenshot, which is a really cool one. I like that one, just being able to, double tap or something, it takes a screenshot without having to awkwardly hit 2 buttons when you kind of need to take that screenshot. But again, it's not pressing your home button, just tapping your finger on it. So I, double tapped here and I opened up my switcher, holding onto it will lock your device. Really cool, simple things you can do just by using that Touch ID ring on your device. And also, it's absolutely free. Now, if you are someone who uses the Calendar app quite frequently, which I am definitely one of those people, then this is a tweak that you probably already know that you need. It's called Calendar for Lockscreen 2, and the idea is iOS stock calendars, they're kind of a pain. Like, once the event starts, the thing disappears from your lock screen, and you have to find more information about it later. Maybe you have like a call-in number, you actually have to jump into your phone, go into the calendar, try pulling up the meeting invite and all of that. So here the idea is not only will it show you further into advance, but it can show you, throughout the meeting. Of course, all of that is customizable inside of the settings. It makes everything look a little bit smaller here, fits them on there, and there's a lot of little things that you can change. So jumping into settings here, obviously enable or disable, we can choose which calendar that it applies to. So the default, or just your work one, or just your personal one, whatever it may be. You can choose how far out it'll show and how many entries it'll show, up to a certain amount. So I just have it on unlimited. Of course, I can change the group heading colors, the background colors, all those different things, the icon styles. Do you want there to be icons? Should it be small? Should it be large? Should it be the calendar? Whatever you want that to be. Lots of really cool things here. I kind of like it without the background on there. Just make it transparent. Makes it look a little bit more modern, I guess, though it looks like I do need to change some colors to make it work with my background on here. But really simplistic. It's available for $1.99 inside of Cydia. So if you use the calendar a lot, this is definitely something to check out. Onizuka is another tweak that allows you to go in and control or customize the control center more to your liking. And there's a couple really neat features that I really particularly enjoy. So the customizing here is pretty decent. It's not my favorite by any means. It does add a few different options to the toggles at the top, notably that do not disturb mode, or the silent mode, sorry, and the low power mode there on the right, which is a little bit of a funky icon to go with, but low power mode nonetheless. And of course I can do things like hide certain features from here. Another really neat one is it adds that record button to the bottom right hand corner to allow you to record your screen. But it also adds a new screen into Control Center that allows you to give a bunch of statistics about your phone, like IP address and battery levels and Wi-Fi status and a bunch of little things like that. And below there's a little bit of a blank space that we're going to look at right here. So inside of settings, you can do things like enabling the wallpaper dim and how much it is to dim, draw the Control Center buttons as selected, change the night shift color, you want square sections instead of the rounder buttons. You can change all the different selected icons or colors for each of those. You can change the corner radius on there, a bunch of different things that you can actually go ahead and configure if you just want to change how it looks. There's also ability to hide elements, so maybe you don't use night shift, you don't use the AirPlay stuff, anything like that. You can go ahead and turn off any of those specific areas that it allows you to. But my kind of favorite thing is this launch app setting. So here you can choose different apps for different times of day. So morning, afternoon, evening, and night, and it'll put them into like a quick launch inside of the Control Center. So if you use certain apps in the morning, like in the morning I like to read the news, check my messages, check my email. Throughout the day I use my calendar, my mail a lot. And at night I use something like the clock to go ahead and set my alarm. So I can actually put those in there, and then when I swipe over to that special thing, of course you can see our customization we've changed here, the different kind of greens on the top, the square buttons, these square buttons at the bottom, lots of the different settings that we've changed. But we move over to the newer panels inside of Control Center. You can see we have my evening apps here at the bottom. So Pasithea and FaceTime, apps I maybe particularly would use in the evening. So kind of a really neat feature there if you like kind of a quick launch for certain times of the day. Definitely something to check out. Onizuka is available for only 99 cents inside of Pasithea. ColorBanners 2 is a really simple application, or tweak I guess you could say. It really just does what it sounds like. It changes the color of the banners that are coming into your phone, whether that is inside of Notification Center, whether it is on your lock screen, whether it's just the little banners that fly over. I can choose each of those individually and make granular changes, so I can turn them off for certain ones. Maybe I only want to see it on the lock screen, but not in other places. So when you do pick the ones you want, you make your changes that you like, you can actually go ahead and hit test, which is kind of a cool feature, and a bunch of little notifications will pour in, and you actually see what they're going to look like. So it just kind of uses the icon to choose a color for those, adds a slight gradient, just some stuff that you can kind of change in there. But definitely add some color to all those notifications you may get on your lock screen. Makes it a little bit easier to kind of differentiate them and tell which is which. It's only 99 cents, so if that's something you like, definitely go ahead and check it out inside of Pasithea. Moving on to HideMeX. HideMeX has been updated for iOS 10. Still one of my absolute favorite tweaks that are out there. Allows you to change a ridiculous number of things on your device. Though we're not going to go through all this by any means, but obviously just enable it inside of settings and go ahead and change all the things that you'd like. There's things like quick edit, which is really cool. You can actually turn this on, and then when you go into wiggle mode or edit mode, it gives you a little other icon to actually go in and change some things on the fly. Inside of alerts, we have all these alerts that we can turn off and kind of suppress, or we can turn on dynamic alerts. So like if you get like one from data saying you've used too much data, it can allow you to turn on Wi-Fi or turn on airplane mode. So really cool things with dynamic alerts there. You can hide specific apps, so if you don't want certain apps to appear on your lock screen, or you can hide or not hide them in Switcher. So if you have something you want to keep hidden, you can hide that on there so if someone else is in your phone, they don't see anything. We can go in here, Control Center. You can control the colors of the toggles. A really simple thing, and we've seen other tweaks that do that, but you can come here and choose all those individually, turn off certain ones, disable color toggling, disabling the dots. There's just so many things that you can come in here and control with HideMeX. So it's definitely something you should check out and go through and really kind of customize your device. That is a lot about what jailbreaking is for. So I know a lot of people are going to love this. Things like hiding those blue and orange update and beta dots on there. I know people hate those, so you can go ahead and hide those. You can hide certain badges on there. People hate apps that show just a ridiculous number of badges. You can make a custom size, change your app icon size, so you can have them bigger or smaller. So if you maybe it's an eyesight issue, you need a little bit bigger. Definitely something you can do inside of HideMeX. I like on the status bar. This is one of my favorites. Going in here and changing things like hiding the carrier, hiding certain things, like maybe hiding battery percentages. I don't know why you'd want to do that, but maybe you want to hide your battery percentage, hiding call forwarding, anything to kind of keep your status bar clean. I know a lot of people, just like on Mac, love to have clean status bars even on their phone. This obviously allows them to do that, like many other tweaks out there. System-wide, things like you can completely disable the sound or vibration, really easy. Disabling haptic feedback, using custom colors for screenshots. Really small things, but really neat. Inside of first-party apps, you have a few things like always turning on HDR inside a camera, disabling plugins if you're inside of the Messages application, for instance. Phone, you can actually turn off different tabs, so if you don't use the first-party voicemail, you can turn that off. Just hide that tab completely and don't have it in the way, make your other ones a little bit bigger. Inside the settings, you can disable the app section, remove update badges, really simple things in here, but just a ridiculous number of stuff you can change. So if you are really one into customizing your phone, which if you jailbreak, you probably are, you should definitely check out the new updated version of HideMeX, available inside of Big Boss's repo for only $2.99. Acapella 3, again, has been updated for iOS 10, kind of adds some new gesture controls for controlling your music and audio through Control Center and on your lock screen. On the middle part here, I can actually swipe all the way to the left, and it'll take me back. If I actually had a second song in this album, I can swipe to the right and go to the next song. So I have gestures there. Kind of hard to tell on here because it keeps defaulting to system capture when playing, but I can play and pause tapping on the actual album artwork itself, and tapping on the top left and top right corners actually controls the volume, which is basically just making this more instead of sliding around. I can actually make it more gesture based, and all those same things apply here on the lock screen as well. And swipe there on the name to go back, to go forward, tap left, tap right to turn up the volume, and tap on the music playing to go ahead and play and pause. Inside of these settings, I can obviously enable and disable, but I can choose the gestures for each of those different spots. So in the music app, on the lock screen, on the home screen, sorry, those are the same, and inside a Control Center. And I can choose what each of those gestures do, so I don't have to be stuck with the ones that I've chosen. There's a bunch of different controls that you can opt to use instead for each of those. So I can do things like immediately shuffle, or open the playing app, or skip ahead a certain interval amount, shuffle, bunch of different things, showing the star rating. It's available for $2.99 inside of Cydia. Moving on, we have Pasithea 2, which is basically a pasteboard or clipboard manager that allows you to kind of see what's going on with your clipboard and just pull all those into conversations. It simply just replaces a keyboard on your phone. There are two different ways. One is an activator gesture that you can do. The other is replacing a keyboard, which is automatically turned on by default. So you can see it here when I hold on the little globe icon, and here's my paste history. I can tap on any of those and immediately paste it into a conversation, a note, a message, a browser, whatever it is I may be doing, but I can easily recall different things from my clipboard. I can do things like favorite certain ones, so they're always going to be there, and I can pull them up at any time. I can add returns in between, so if I'm pasting a bunch of stuff, I can tap return, hit the next line, return, next line. So really easy to pull these things in here. Of course, you don't have to use them in messages. Basically anywhere a keyboard is, and you don't have to use it everywhere. You can disable it inside of certain applications as well. I can change the pasteboard history, so it could be more or less. So if I'm worried it's gonna be too much, or I just want too little, I just want the last couple, definitely something you can opt into. You can change all these different things here, lots of different settings, a very well-built application, very simple to use. I really like this one. It's super handy, especially if I'm going around between a lot of things. It's definitely something I can keep an eye on. And of course, there are apps from the App Store that kind of manage your pasteboard or your keyboard, stuff like that, but this one definitely gives you more options, including even the keyboard sounds you can customize. So lots of options here, and you don't have to get one actually from the App Store. Last up, we have two apps that we've already covered in the past, but we're going to put them in this roundup in case you did not see them. And the first one is going to be App Center, which basically just allows you to launch and control apps from inside of Control Center. It's super handy. It doesn't have to just be on your home screen. You can actually do it from inside of an application. So it can be inside of Safari and open to messages, respond to a message, and close that. All just kind of running literally inside of Control Center. I can search for apps, so there are going to be ones pre-populated for you can choose from, but you can completely search any different app on your phone. So really handy if you're in the middle of something, you get a Twitter message, you get, a YouTube comment, you get a text message, all those you can pull up, handle from within here, or the vice versa. I'm in a text message conversation, need to look something up, instead of double tapping or swiping, going to it and kind of going around. It's a lot quicker. You can also run multiple in parallel and swipe between them. really simple application, really handy. So this is definitely something you should check out if you haven't, and I definitely tell you to check out the full video we've done. Same thing with Arial here. We've already done a full review of Arial, so if you want to learn more, go check out that whole video. But it allows you to customize the colors of everything inside of your status bar. So it allows you to kind of control them, customize them to be what you like, kind of add more color. Really subtle, looks definitely better on darker applications, but it works just fine on light things like the settings app as well. But just allowing you to bring some color in there. It doesn't have to always be black or green for the bar. So boom, a bunch of applications or tweaks for iOS 10. If we missed any, let us know down in the comments below. Let us know what you think. Subscribe. Till next time, this is Andrew for IDB.